evening, everyone. I'll call our meeting to order here in Council Chambers at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Present.
Macias.
Present.
Razak.
Present.
Timian.
Present.
Finch.
Present.
McNeil.
Present.
Castro.
Present.
Schmidt.
Present.
All right, we do not have remote electronic attendance necessary today. Is there public comment, Chief?
No, we are.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start with the presentations. Ms. Temple, City of Moline Environmental Resiliency Plan update.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight marks the kickoff of.
That's not a good start.
There we go.
That's a fumble.
Environmental Resiliency Plan, which will guide us in preparing for future environmental challenges and building a stronger, more sustainable community. We've already completed the data collection phase, and now we're moving into the next stage of the process focused on planning and engagement. We're pleased to have our consultant team from Blue Strike Environmental joining us remotely this evening. With us are Anna Bugankova, Rich Swanson, and Brittany Mahoney, who together bring extensive experience in resiliency planning and community engagement. They'll be walking us through the process, timeline, and opportunities for input, and tonight's presentation is really just about starting the conversation and getting your feedback and input. So now I'll turn it over to Rich to get us started.
Great. Thank you so much, Dawn. Hopefully everybody can hear me, and really a pleasure to be with you all this evening. And it's, been a real joy to be working with Dawn, Denver, Jennifer, and their whole team there in Moline. And this is it's a pleasure to be able to join with you all in presenting this environmental resiliency plan. So we do have some slides that I am going to ask Anna to show here on the screen. And so we're going to walk through those slides for this particular presentation. So as mentioned, this is an introductory presentation on the Moline Environmental Resiliency Plan. My name is Rich Swanson, and we are representing Blue Strike, a consultancy that's been hired by the City of Moline to work this process for developing this particular plan. Just real briefly, our meeting agenda is very simple, so we can give you a brief orientation here. We're going to give you an introduction to our team, give you a short project overview, talk a little bit about the approach that we're going to take and the deliverables that will be submitted to the city, and then we'll have some time at the end for questions and answers, so we look forward to that. If we go to the next slide, this is our team, and just for the sake of time, I think I'll just introduce everybody, and then those who are presenting can do so, having had an introduction. As mentioned, my name is Rich Swanson. I'm the director of the Energy and Climate team here at Blue Strike. My background is in energy and energy economics. I've been with Blue Strike for about 5 years, doing a lot of these types of sort of sustainability, resiliency, and energy planning work. I'm joined by Anna Bugankova. She is our associate project manager, and she brings a background also in resiliency, in sustainability, and we're really grateful to have Anna with us. Brittany Mahoney is our technical analyst for this particular project. She also comes from an energy background largely, but will be doing a lot of the technical analytics for this project. Brennan Jensen, unfortunately, could not be here this afternoon. She is our engagement lead. She'll largely be advising us sort of behind the scenes as we do various engagement activities there in the city. So if we go to the next slide, this gives us a little bit of a project overview. Any planning document, any planning project really should tell a story, I think, a story about where you are today, where you want to go, and then a roadmap for how to get there. And so this plan is really no different. We're going to develop sort of a baseline assessment of sustainability and environmental efforts and endeavors, including a greenhouse gas inventory, other environmental resiliency planning that has been done. And this is going to lead us towards a combined initiative that brings together all sorts of endeavors that are happening currently in the city of Moline, but extends them in a sort of resilient way. And the thing that connects the two is a roadmap to achieve all the things that you want to, for where you are to where you want to go. If we go to the next slide, this slide talks a little bit about our process and approach. So you can see it's really 3 primary stages there, followed by the delivery of the final plan. So our baseline is really a listening phase. That's where we're collecting data. We're looking at your existing plans, policies, et cetera, and doing a baseline assessment. The second stage is an engagement stage. That is a real learning stage for us. So we want to hear from your community, from you, from leadership, and from people all across the many demographics there in Moline. And then the strategy stage is when we sort of roll up our sleeves, particularly with the project team. We take a look at what is in place already, the feedback that we've received from the city, and we start to craft strategies that we hope will launch you towards the future that you want to see. And then, of course, we'll record all of that into a final plan. It'll be very actionable. It'll be very fundable and integrated with the other great things that you are planning for Moline. So the next slide. It talks a little bit about the first part of that phase 1, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brittany for the rest of the phase 1 component. So part of this baseline, as I mentioned, is a gathering and collecting of information that exists right now within the city. It's current planning documents. We're taking a look at state, regional, and federal legislation. We'll look at cities with very similar profiles, and we'll look at the things that you are currently emphasizing in terms of your own developmental objectives, whether those are energy plans, housing plans, transportation plans, all the things that might impact this particular environmental resiliency effort. The second portion of the baseline is a GHG emissions inventory and some forecasts. And Brittany is going to tell you all about how we develop that inventory, how we do those forecasts, and then eventually how we set any reduction targets that the city desires to set. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brittany.
Thank you, Rich. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy to be here. I'm Brittany from Blue Strike. Today I'll walk through Moline's 2024 greenhouse gas baseline reported. Apologies for that. The goal is straightforward. It's to show where emissions come from at the community and municipality levels, so we can focus on the large sources and what we directly control. Data is best, it's best available data for 2024, rounded. Small categories may not sum to 100%. The following slides, we're focusing on measurement and transparency. And then actions will be on the later phases. So I'll start with the overall split here, and then look at the community detail and finish with the municipal operation. This chart that you're seeing here is that 98% of emissions come from community and 2% from the municipality. We can go over to slide 2. And here we have the detail breakdown in a table format of, the large line items from the emissions being, and that being residential, electricity, and going down to the smallest, which is wastewater. In the other slide, is the same exact information, but a little bit more digestible, I would say. You can see here that residential grid electricity, commercial grid electricity, and residential natural gas use are, the biggest stakes here driving community emissions, and that is nothing outside the normal. It is expected. And then we have, the fewer the fewer categories there that are not impacting as much. Sorry, and then one more slide. Correct. Great. Awesome. So now we're looking at the municipal emissions here. These are all city owned, operated buildings and everything it takes to run City of Moline's operations. And the main drivers being the grid electricity from these buildings. Followed by the grid electricity for streetlights and traffic signals, which is as expected for city operations.
Is somebody frozen? Are you continuing?
My apologies, I had a hard time unmuting myself, so let me start sharing my screen again. So hi everybody, my name is Anna, also from Blue Strike Environmental. And Brittany, thank you so much for your presentation on the greenhouse gas inventories in phase 1. So moving to the phase 2, which is engagement. So this phase will be primarily focused on building on the work that we've done in phase 1. As Rich walked us through the policy review part, Brittany walked us through the data collection and building greenhouse gas inventories part for your community and for your government operations. So the main goals of the second phase will be engaging with your city staff, with your residents, businesses, and other stakeholders that will be a part of this process. The primary goal here is to understand your existing initiatives that you're currently working on, any challenges that you're facing, anything that you've done in the past that worked well for you, so we can leverage your existing knowledge and expertise in this engagement phase. And as a result of this engagement, we will be narrowing down various solutions and strategies that will eventually be feeding into the next phase of the plan that we'll talk about in a second. And one of the things we want to achieve during this engagement phase is making sure that this process is inclusive from multiple dimensions. One is that we are including various community groups, so your residents, your businesses, housing authorities, your department heads, various stakeholders from the city to get multiple diverse perspectives, but also making sure we're talking about various issues. So we're not just focused on the climate and environment here, but we're talking about things and challenges that your businesses might be facing, that your residents might be facing, and how all of this information will feed into the project and the strategies that will be developed as the outcome of it. So on the slide here, you can see a couple of proposed public engagement activities. We currently have advisory committee that we formed with the project team. So the intent is to hold various conversations with the advisory committee and have them advise to us throughout this project, provide their expertise, provide best practices and feedback on what we're doing here. Another list of proposed activities is the community survey, outreach materials, focus groups. And these are just suggestions at this point. The next step of this engagement phase is we'll be meeting with your community engagement coordinator, Ashley, and we'll rely on her input for engaging your community and balancing various quality of life challenges and issues that you might be working with right now. Another intention for us during this phase is to make sure that we're bringing your department heads and agencies into these focus groups and overall planning process to make sure we get everybody's contributions and inputs early in this process. And so once the engagement phase is complete or almost coming to an end, we will be moving into phase 3 of this plan, which is essentially developing the strategies and delivering the final plan. So here we'll be building onto those two first phases, phase 1 and phase 2, understanding what our biggest sources of emissions are, what are your current and existing initiatives from your existing plans, state policies, and local policies, and what is the input from your community and stakeholders, and also what are the best practices to address the issues that you might be facing. So in this stage, we'll be combining all of this information into a list of goals, strategies, and specific actions. So we're going to make sure that at this stage, all of the goals, strategies, and actions that we're proposing are workable and implementable. And a big part of the implementation planning and overall implementation plan success is that what we're proposing is first is that the strategies that we're proposing are supported by your community and your stakeholders, and that those strategies are fundable. So putting together a comprehensive funding plan and a funding roadmap will be one of our biggest priorities at this stage. So anything that can include grants, partnerships, any other funding and financing opportunities will be included and associated with every single strategy that will be part of this plan. Other components of the implementation plan that will be included is specific departments and roles will be associated with each strategies, as well as responsibilities to make sure we know how to make each strategy a success. We know that actions need to be taken, how much those things are going to cost, and where we can obtain funding to implement these strategies. So once all of that is completed, prioritization matrix is also going to be a big part of this process. So what this will include is looking at various aspects such as cost effectiveness of each strategy, co-benefits, greenhouse gas reduction potential, quality of life improvements, and other aspects that will be discussed down the road with the project team and the advisory committee. So this is just a high-level glance of what this phase 3 stage will include, and also some of the examples of the deliverables that you will also be seeing down the road. And here is just a quick snippet of the final plan from final plans and what it could look like from our previous clients. So this is pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory. The plan will be branded to your community, to your city, and these are just a couple of examples of the previous deliverables that we've put together. And lastly, next steps. So as Rich and Brittany already mentioned, we've pretty much completed the data collection process, and the next step is putting this data together into a complete greenhouse gas inventories for your entire community and for your government operations, and conducting community engagement plan and exercises, developing these outreach materials, focus groups, surveys design, and eventually implementing all of these activities down the road. And with that, we're happy to take any questions or any feedback you might have.
Anybody on council? Questions? Feedback? Yes, Mr. McNeil.
A timeline, or I guess I'm thinking about our comprehensive plan too, and if there are goals and strategies here, that how does it work when we're concurrently planning?
Could you hear that?
Yeah. Yeah, we could hear that. Yeah, two great questions. The timeline from when we started is about a year. So we'll be finishing up this plan in around the end of June. Probably we started right about the beginning of July, so this is about a 12-month cycle. In terms of the comprehensive plan, we will certainly work with Dawn and her team to understand what's happening in parallel fashion with the comprehensive plan, and take a look at those priorities as they are emerging, and look to integrate that along the way. So we anticipate that timeline might be relatively similar, and so we would look forward to integrating the two plans together in that way.
Yeah, we actually have kind of connected the two consultants already. Jennifer has, so.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions from the council? Mr. Macias.
Thank you. You have there some finalized graphic-rich examples. Do you have some examples of other communities comparable in our size?
Yes, we do. I don't know if there were any samples up there. I can't remember specifically the samples, but yeah, we've worked with municipalities of all sort of shapes and sizes, and so we'd be happy to share some different examples, with towns and cities the size of Moline, you can take a look at those. For sort of level of detail, even within the different sizes in terms of population, different municipalities might have slightly different objectives, and so they might have large budgets, small budgets, and do different things with their plans. But we'd love to share with you, as many examples as you'd like to see.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council? I have just a few. So as mayor, I sit on our bi-state commission, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and we get reports all the time about air quality and what have you. I'm not sure how that information for the entire Quad City area plays into the data collection you've already done, or if you plan to include the impacts of that, because I have some of that information already from that we don't control, right? Moline doesn't get to control that. So like whatever cleaner processes, more efficient processes you might recommend, could still be impacted by variables outside of our control. So I wondered if you could make sure to address how you're going to make recommendations when we sit in a metropolitan area with many more variables.
Yeah, that's a great question. We'd love to collect that information. We're still sort of in the information gathering stages, as Anna sort of intimated. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We all sit in an environment that we don't control all of the different components. And so we will look at that from two vantage points. One is, what are the sort of activities that Moline is engaged in that might be contributing to the current environment and the local environment, and then at the same time, what is the broader environment contributing to Moline and sort of the environment in which it exists, and the people live their lives and businesses do their business, and so on and so forth. So both of those sort of angles are represented, and we look forward to integrating certainly that sort of regional perspective in this overall plan.
Okay, thank you. And so just so I and the council are clear, the goal here, it sounds like you're really focused on emissions and clean energy and energy efficiency for the city. So we're not talking about flood resiliency or biodiversity or any of those pieces of a plan, correct?
Well, we're talking about environmental resiliency. So, so for example, flood control would be one of the elements that would probably enter into the equation. and looking at, this will be a planning document, so it'll have recommendations that come in sort of goals, strategies, and then different activities that can come.
Right.
But we do have a framework that we're developing that will show you all the different categories in which we are developing, those various recommendations and so forth.
Oh, thank you, because it wasn't, just from the preliminary data focused on emissions, I wasn't sure if there was a broader scope, but you're making clear there is a broader scope. We're not at that phase yet.
Yeah, there's a broader scope that's kind of reflected in the policy sort of collection and baselining of the current plans and whether they're vulnerabilities or activities that are sort of taking action for Moline. Those elements are part of that baseline assessment.
Okay, thank you. And then I appreciate the funding roadmap as an inclusion in the plan, so kudos to that being part of our RFPs and all of that, the planning on that. But if I understand the timeline correctly, this would have a budget impact in 2027 if we're going to get a final plan in the summer of 26.
I would say potentially it could impact fiscal year 27
Right.
initially, or it may run into 28, depending upon how this plan is finalized relative to the progress on the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is supposed to be done in November of 2026. And this plan was supposed to be done a few months before that.
Right.
So they do gel together. So it could be 27 impacts, maybe 28.
Okay.
And beyond.
I think that's helpful as we enter sort of somewhat uncertain economic context. I appreciate knowing that. Those are all my questions. Anything else from the council? Thank you very much, Blue Stripe, and our team here. That's all.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be with you.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, we move to 5.2, GFOA's Distinguished Budget Award. Ms. Barnes.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. And I am going to ask my staff to come up. And we are very pleased to inform you that the city's 2025 budget document has been awarded the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Finance Officers Association for the 4th consecutive year. So yes, very, very proud of this team. This award reflects the commitment of the mayor, city council, all of your directors, city staff, citywide, in meeting the highest principles of governmental budgeting. And in order to receive the budget award, the city had to satisfy nationally recognized guidelines for an effective budget presentation. And these guidelines include for a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communications device. This award is the highest form of recognition in governmental budgeting. In addition to receiving this award, Moline's 2025 budget also received special recognition for its strategic goals and strategies for the 2nd consecutive year. And in order to receive that recognition, the reviewers had to give the highest possible scoring in particular categories. So congratulations to everyone here and city staff, citywide, for all your hard work formulating the budget. And I want to say a special thank you to Courtney Reed, our budget manager, Lupe Ramirez, our assistant finance director, and Andrea Bradley, our accounting manager. And I'd also like to say to Macy McManus for all of her hard work on the strategic plan.
Thank you so much. That deserves another round.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna have more of those years on that plaque,
Yes.
right? Like one side and the other
And then we'll
side.
get another one.
Yeah, then they give you the next one.
Yep. All right. That ends our presentations. Questions on the agenda? I do not have any, or any updates, so we'll move to our Committee of the Whole agenda items. 7.1, An ordinance amending Chapter 20, Motor Vehicles and Traffic of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Appendix 5 thereof, always stop intersections by adding the intersection of 43rd Street and 5th Avenue North and South branches. Ms. Clower.
Good evening. My name is Laura Clower, for those of you that don't know me. I work in the engineering department with David Dreyer. This item originated as a resident request to the Traffic Engineering Committee. The current intersection is a stop for east and westbound traffic only. The resident requested converting this intersection to an all-way stop, which was recently done at neighboring intersections along 5th Avenue. The committee recommended approving this request to convert this intersection to an all-way stop for consistency with the neighborhood and also line of sight issues for eastbound traffic.
Motion to approve. Second. Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.2, an ordinance amending Chapter 20, Motor Vehicles and Traffic of the Moline Code of Ordinances by enacting a new Appendix 15 thereof entitled 30-minute parking restrictions in non-metered zones and adding one on-street stall thereto at 1518 15th Street. Ms. Clower.
So this item was also brought forth to the Traffic Engineering Committee. The manager of the Tattered Shoe and G's Popcorn requested two 15-minute parking stalls on 15th Street for their customers to drop in and pick up items. The committee discussed this item in length and decided to provide one 30-minute spot in lieu of two 15-minute spots in order to prevent hardships to other businesses in the area. So the item is to provide one 30-minute spot at the south end of the block for the hours of 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesdays through Saturdays, which are the operating hours of G's Popcorn.
Thank you.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.3, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a grant agreement between the Illinois Department of Human Services and City of Moline, setting the terms for acceptance of a grant award to the police department for the amount of $8,427 to conduct a retail education and enforcement program with tobacco retailers.
Thank you, Your Honor. Council members, you've seen this before. Annually, we enter into an agreement with the Department of Human Services to do compliance checks on our tobacco retailers. Tobacco retailers are provided with information on what constitutes illegal sales to underage individuals, and is followed by 3 rounds of unannounced compliance checks by supervised underage individuals during a specific time period. You'll notice that this also appears on the items not on consent. A lot of times these grants don't give us a lot of time to apply for them and then get them through both 2 council meetings, so I'm asking for consideration on the council agenda as well.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Macias. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.4, resolution authorizing the mayor to participate in national opioid litigation and execute any and all necessary opioid settlement participation documents between the city of Moline and the various opioids manufacturers, and authorizing all appropriate city officers, city attorney, and staff to do all things necessary to complete each of the city's responsibilities pursuant to said national opioid litigation.
Yes.
Mr. Atkins.
City Attorney.
You've previously participated in the Purdue settlement, which included, I think, a couple of other defendants. This is a settlement for an additional, I think it's 7 different defendants. These are producers that were more minor than the ones that there had been settlements previously. This is going to be decided tonight and passed through because we have an October 8th deadline. It took a while for me to look over all of the documents and verify that there was the need for an additional authorization. I was hopeful that we would be able to let the mayor just sign this based on the previous authorization, but unfortunately, we do have to have an actual council vote.
Okay,
Motion to approve? Second.
motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.5, a resolution approving the establishment of a block party policy effective January 1, 2026.
Barry.
Mr. Dijkhuizen?
Yes, Your Honor. This action simply formalizes the block party process a little bit more. It'll still be under the review of the Special Events Committee. Public Safety will have a chance to look at it. But we are trying to formalize it, add another layer of safety, and balance that without making it too onerous on the neighborhood groups. So this is the balance we struck to accommodate that.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Macias. Discussion? I did have one question when I looked at the timeline. 90 days? Is that what we currently do? Before when someone can put in for a block party?
That's ideal. The Special Events Committee has to get together and then has to come before the council. So if
Okay.
there's any other hiccups along the way, a lot of times it's not 90 days in real
Okay.
life. That's just an ideal timeline.
Okay.
But we haven't turned people away if we can get it through quicker, but we're just.
Okay. Great, thank you. If there's nothing further, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.6, a resolution approving the special event application for the Dia de los Muertos celebration scheduled for Saturday, November 1, 2025, that is sponsored by Mercado on Fifth, Inc., closing certain streets more particularly described herein to vehicular traffic and authorizing the use of public right-of-way in conjunction with said event.
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to take this one. The Day of the Dead parade itself will not take place this year, but they are hosting an event at their location on Fifth Avenue. They've kind of dubbed it the Touch-A-Float because obviously they have some concerns. So we are looking for approval to close Fifth Avenue on that date because, as you know, it's partially open at this time. So we'll be closing it for the Day of the Dead event to be held at their post location.
Motion to approve? Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.7, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a joint funding agreement for federally funded construction for section number 23-00291-00-BT, the MIRR Bike Path Phase 2, approving a resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code appropriating motor fuel tax funds for the city's local match for section number 23-00291-00-BT, MIRR Bike Path Phase 2 for the amount of $1,111,719.75. And authorizing the mayor to execute a letter of understanding between the Illinois Department of Transportation and the city of Moline dated September 15th, 2025, indicating the city's concurrence to the state's maximum financial participation associated within the traffic signal improvements as part of this project for the amount of $640,000. Ms. Clower.
So this is just a paperwork item related to that project. The state requires us to approve an agreement, an MFT resolution, and a letter of understanding in order to let the project for construction. So as of now, the project is scheduled on the November letting in Springfield with construction to begin in January and hopefully be completed next year.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Finch,
Second.
second by Razak. Discussion? Hearing, yes, Mr. Timian.
This will go down to Cold Town Road
It'll
from
stop
Avenue
at
of the City?
36th Avenue.
Okay. Awesome. So excited.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.8, a resolution authorizing the mayor, city clerk, and city staff to apply to the Illinois Department of Natural Resources for an open space land acquisition and development grant for the amount of $600,000 to improve ADA accessibility and safety throughout the complex by replacing deteriorated and uneven sidewalks and paths, replace old playground equipment for 2 to 5 year old age section, provide shade structures and convert unused sand volleyball courts into multi-use flex sports field at Milltown Softball Complex, and authorizing the mayor, city clerk, and staff to do all things necessary to prepare and submit said grant application. Mr. Griffith.
So this is the largest grant the state of Illinois offers for Parks and Recreation departments. This, the 4 areas that we're going to focus on this year are based off of the Milltown feasibility study that was presented last year to City Council. This is also supported by the 2023 Parks and Recreation Master Plan. There is no match required. We are putting in about $46,000. We are going to, as city staff, remove the playground equipment, install the new playground equipment, and then do the flex field ourselves, because that won't be that complicated. So it's mostly staff time and the use of city tools. So Park Board, we had our meeting last month. They voted for approval, and so we're asking. It's going to show on both tonight since the deadline is 9:30.
Thank you.
Motion to approve? Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Mr. Timian?
For the Milton softball complex, this does not include any turfing or anything?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 7.9, a resolution approving the use of cannabis funds in the amount of $200,000 to provide one-time, once every 12 months financial assistance to eligible Moline residents who meet the program criteria, to be dispersed October 1, 2025 through December 31, 2025. Authorizing the Community and Economic Development Department staff to do any and all things necessary to continue to administer Moline's urgent rental/utility assistance program in the amount of $150,000, which provides assistance to residents with eviction notices, utility disconnection notices, or urgent lodging needs. And authorizing Project Now Affordable Housing LLC to continue to administer Level B, $50,000 one-time grants of variable amounts between $400 and $2,000 for emergency critical assistance.
Thank you, Mayor. Folks, the need is still out there. Both of these programs are current programs, but the funds have been exhausted. The calls are still coming in, the emails are still coming in, as well as people in the lobby still requesting assistance. And right now, we just don't have any assistance to provide to them. We're getting ready to enter our code season. Again, this money would help with eviction notices, disconnection notices, emergency lodging, like if the police have a family or individual on the street, we need to lodge them. If our rental housing has to displace an individual or a family, we would use these funds as well. So this gives us a permanent source of funding where we don't have to keep coming back to council and asking for another disbursement. So we're recommending approval.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Finch,
Second.
seconded by Razak. Discussion. Mr. Timian?
Two questions. When you say permanent funding, you mean for the year, not in perpetuity?
Correct.
Okay. And second, we have the 200,000 available in the cannabis fund already. That is in excess of what we've already spent for the year.
Yes, and we're going to
Okay.
be discussing that in the budget portion tonight.
Awesome, thank you.
But also by this resolution, we're asking for the future.
Yeah,
They're looking for
consideration.
continuation into the future
For
for the
annual
program at a
funding.
higher funding level, as you'll see in the budget.
We've been under 300,000 and you're asking us to be a little over it
Correct.
going forward. Got it. Thank you. Was that a hand, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So on the immediate need in this year, great. And there, in the description, we're talking about how we've identified what we'd like that to be, but that's a budget discussion. That's not in the resolution. We're not defining anything going.
That's correct.
Right, okay. So we're saying like this is the long-term plan for what we're filling in our short gap.
Correct.
Term gap now. Great.
Thank you. Anything further from council? Thank you for bringing it forward. We certainly don't want to leave people on the edge of the pit of poverty. Thank you. Nothing further? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Yep. We move to our informationals, 8.1, annual outside city limits utility customers list. Director Williamson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have before you the annual list that we are to provide to you for review. There was no change from last year, and happy to answer any questions.
Anything from council? Hearing none, wait, we're not voting.
No action necessary.
We're at an informational, got it. There were so many items. It's
know.
okay.
I know.
Thank you. No questions from council. Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Barnes, 8.2, 2026 budget work session. Take us through.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This is our last review of budget items prior to our big Saturday work session. And so what we're wanting to do tonight is to give you some additional administrative recommendations on several items so that you have the information that you need to assist you in making some good decisions come October. And I might say, possibly, to make our work session in October slightly shorter, because we're hitting a lot of issues ever since June. We are not asking for any decisions tonight, but we're looking for your guidance and direction on how you would like these items presented in the budget as we prepare for your consideration in October. So with that, I'm going to let KJ start us off on the homelessness prevention.
Me again. Alright. So in front of you there, we try to give you a holistic view of the program resources we currently have available to address homeless prevention. So on the green side, those are partners. Those are other nonprofit or profit agencies that we're currently working with. On the blue side are our programs that we currently have in place or we like to put in place. So starting with the top, with number 20 and working our way down, on the CDBG housing, we have the homestead program and we have the homebuyer assistance program. Both of those are funded out of CDBG. We have them funded in 25. We're gonna propose for them to be funded in 26, 27, and 28, just a continuance of that program. And again, with the homestead, we get a house, we rehab it, and then we make it available for a low to moderate income family to move into. And then with the home buyer, currently, we allow up to $7,100 in down payment. We are gonna be coming forward and asking for that to be increased with our changes to our policy book here in the next month or so. Then as we move to number 19, we started this program under COVID, where we offered vouchers to low to moderate income individuals or families. We would like to continue that. It's a good program, we believe. We would like to continue to offer $15,000 out of our CDBG funding for that. Then as we get down to the Moline urgent rental, which we just talked about, again, phone calls, emails, and people in the lobby are still here. It's still a current problem. It's still a need out there. People are very impressed that Moline takes the time to address it where other cities don't. So, you know, we have a good thing going and we would like to continue where we're able to help our citizens, our residents. Number 17, Level Up. That was a program that was created with Alderman Timian and Alderman Macias along with Mr. Ford and Bettina. Level Up. It has really advanced itself over time. It's really becoming a great program where you have the two tiers, the tier A for the $400 of financial assistance, and then the one-time emergency up to $2,000. Now with their program, they will cover anything like a car repair, which we don't do that here. You know, we're basically, you know, the rental side of things or the utility bills. And that's the nice thing about the cannabis money. It allows us to help with the water bills, where our CDBG money does not allow us to do that. So that's a door that we've been able to open with the use of the cannabis funds. Then as you come down to number 16, long-term, and this is where we allow so much of the grant fund subrecipients. And this year it's gonna be Christian Care for outreach, Salvation Army, they do rental, no deposits, and then they also do utilities. Now, with that being said, probably in the future, as we come with our recommendations to you guys in October, we're going to look at proposing you guys to put out an RFP for outreach services. Because right now, you're throwing a few dollars to this agency and a few to this agency. We have 4 agencies on the streets doing outreach for us. We think it's gonna be better to have a situation where that's one agency doing that for the city of Moline. And that way we can explain what our asks are, what our deliverables are, what our reporting requirements are, so we can get the information that we want. Then as you come down to Path Forward, wow, this program has really taken off since you guys approved it a couple months ago. It was built on the heels of Level Up. It's very similar to it. I think we have probably seen, my staff has probably seen up to 20 people so far. We have funded half of those. The rest of them are trying to get their information in. But just the word on the street through social media, the program's really taken off and it's doing what it needs to do. Then as we come along to the uplift shelters, that's the brick and mortar. We're still trying to work on that one a little bit. We're gonna have a proposal to you guys in October, we believe. And that will come from the Moline Housing Task Force, which is Bob, Barry, myself, the chief, Chris Mathias, and Chris Parr on that team. Then as we try to complete this list, 13 is just something that the police department has in place already. It doesn't cost us any time because it's already built into their salaries, but they're there when we need them. And then coming over to the social worker under number 12, that's already in the chief's budget. So we want to continue to have that be available to our residents here in Moline. So basically, this is your holistic view of what we're doing currently for program resources, what we would like to continue to do, definitely for the next 3 years, and build upon it. We're trying to cover a lot of traction in here. Are you controlling the? Oh.
No, I can do it.
The next 2 pages is kind of like a description of which agency does, so kind of information for you guys. Excuse me, on this page here, this is the one that we're gonna kind of build out for October for you. Kind of name in what the short term and what the long term roadmaps are. Kind of where brick and mortar might fall in and kind of where other program resources might fall in for you guys. We're starting to put it together. We're still having some discussion among the team. And then when we come see you in October, we hope to have a better picture for you. Any questions for me before I take a seat? All right, thank you guys.
Okay,
Nice job, KJ.
thank you. What's next, Ms. Barnes?
Before we skip to the next one, I would just like to say, I was working with KJ, and we were amazed when we went to add up these dollars. And these are existing dollars that we're already spending. But for 2026, $865,000 for the homeless prevention program. And if you total up with what we've done in the current year, 25 through 28, almost $3.4 million.
Thank you. I think it's really important that we also make a distinction among ourselves when we know there's commentary out there that we're trying to work on root causes and prevention. It's not that we're not working on meeting the needs when we see them. As KJ said, there's a brick and mortar piece to this with partnerships with nonprofits that specialize in the caregiving or the case management that's necessary. That has to be worked out. But that's not where our brains have been trained. We haven't been doing nothing, is what I wanted to say. We have not been doing nothing, and we're much more focused on root cause issues and fixing those than some realize, I think. Okay, thank you.
And the next item is our payments to agencies. Again, I just want to briefly go through this. We've seen this a little bit ever since June. We've been touching on items and we've had various presentations. And so unless you have questions, I'm going to kind of focus on the 3 yellow highlighted amounts. And KJ has actually touched on all of these, and Bob, you can certainly interject as well. But in total, if you follow the 2026 admin rec all the way down to the bottom, the budget that you will see in October, unless told otherwise now, will be $1,553,570 to various payments to agencies. The new items that we just wanted to touch on tonight that we have not discussed in detail is the Uplift Shelter there in the middle for $50,000 that KJ touched upon. So we'd like consideration of those funds. And then we've got the Moline urgent rental down below for that 150, and then you'll see Project Now right below it at the 315 level, which is 50,000 higher than what it has been, for a total of 315,000. So that includes the 200,000, 150, and the additional 50 for each of those next 3 years. Again, we're not asking for a decision, but we want to know how you'd like this placed in the budget for October when you see it. We have balanced it with it in, but we can discuss it, how you would like that shown.
I think I really want to make sure that the number 8 White House dash uplift shelter is not confusing things. Those are two separate ideas that staff and I talked about. The little White House is the house we've purchased that could possibly be used as a shared housing project pilot that we've learned about from the Housing Council, right? Experts from California that have come in and shared that idea. Uplift shelters are a different item. They are a purchasable shelter that allows you to help people not in a congregate setting, right? Because there are issues that can happen with congregate settings in traditional shelters. One uplift shelter varies in cost from $19,000 to $42,000 or something. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. So I just want the staff to make sure they come to us with a really clear idea of what they're asking for, because those are two separate ideas.
If I could just interject, Mayor, as far as the White House, there's been a lot of discussion about that. We are getting ready to do the repairs to the property that are necessary, whether it's upgrading some of the utilities that were still knob and tube up in the roof, in the attic, the carpeting that needs to be replaced, restoring the bathrooms so that they're functional, because there's multiple bathrooms, buying the necessary equipment for the kitchen itself. And one of the things that we're challenged with, and I've kind of spoken to James about this as he meets with me, is the decision as to how we occupy the house will determine what level of improvement we need to go to. So, I mean, right now, it's an old office building that was converted from a house. To convert it back to a house becomes the question, do we use it as a location, for example, community workers to work out of, to meet with people and give them guidance? Do we convert it to reuse as a residential property for low to moderate income housing? Because at one time we talked about that. That would be similar to what was done originally with the, what was it, the Charles Deere property, Washington Square, which KJ is very familiar with. And we've lost about, I think it's 35% of the LM, low to moderate income housing in our downtown. And that's a fact. It's actually factual. So as we look at the White House, it would be good for you to think about it between now and when we meet. And we can certainly speak every day in between as to what you would envision for the property. You know, will it be used by Project Now, for example, as an additional respite care center, which is a problem? There's a shortage of beds for that. Will it be used for low to moderate income housing? Will it be used as, trying to think, not an uplift shelter.
Shared housing.
Shared housing, because if it gets to a certain level of use, we will be required to put in the appropriate exit signs like in a group home, like ARC has, as well as a sprinkler system. You know, and Drake has very carefully pointed that out. So I don't want to go too far afield here without the council making the ultimate decision as to what they think the highest and best use for that property will be going forward in the future. So I'm just sharing that tonight, so I'll be looking forward to hearing from each of you.
Thank you. Mr. Schmidt.
Yep. I am confused by that item and not sure why it's in payments to agencies.
Why it's what?
Why is it in payments to agencies as opposed to in an operating budget somewhere?
Can I add something there? I think based on conversations I've had with staff after gathering some of these resources and what have you, and going to things with Kristen and KJ, you have to have a partner to run those things, right? So you'd have to engage with someone who's going to do the case management, right? Is that right, staff?
Correct, 100%
It's because of the
correct.
partnership that's required to make anything happen.
We are a funder, not an operator.
And this is obviously in process of the planning. It's not a complete piece. In fact, the number we'll probably have to revisit, and likely we're going to need more, I think, in the long term. And I think with knowing the problem we're facing as a community, we'll have to start somewhere, and then once we find how we can make that difference, to go for it. But thank you for clarifying on that, and just sort of knowing that's a little bit of a placeholder, but I'm glad that we have the placeholder so that we're not caught off guard later.
Any other
I
thoughts,
just have a
questions?
question.
Yes, Ms.
So
Castro.
the $50,000 that is initially budgeted right there, is that for restoring that White House, or is it too early to tell? Like,
Too early to tell. We are actually working within our current budget to bring about that restoration.
okay.
Denver, do you have anything to add? I mean, James works for you.
Yeah, we're still looking at gathering numbers.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Timian.
I just thought of this, and I don't know if it's appropriate, but I'll try anyway. We have a giant building filled with copper pipes, electrical wire, and newer bathrooms that we acquired a few years ago, Heritage Church. Have we thought about reusing some of that for the reconstruction of this house? Even just the toilets and sinks and, you know, it's a small part of the budget, but saving money is something I'm always trying to nitpick and, you know, is that even a feasible question? Toilets are expensive.
Everything is expensive.
Sinks are expensive. I mean, $1,000 saved can go.
Stoves,
You know.
refrigerators,
Right.
sinks. Yes.
But I'm sure there's a bunch at Heritage sitting there. That will be part of the analysis. Okay.
Thank you.
They've already thought of it, but thank you.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yeah. What is our usual annual income for the cannabis fund? By now, I would expect that sort of has started to stabilize a little bit.
Yes, we're going to talk about that in a couple more items down, but I believe it's $680,000 a year.
Yeah, it's pretty sizable.
And it's coming in very regularly.
Collective. All right,
Yes.
thank you.
What-
Yes.
Do you have a follow-up? Yes.
Yeah, well, and that's great, and I think we're using it the right ways, and then it'll go on and allow us to look at other programs. I do think we have to be aware that we could take a hit there if there are other dispensaries, but there's plenty of those funds available for what we're doing right now, it seems, so.
Yes.
Mr. Macias?
Yeah, and another factor is if it's legalized nationwide, then we have our neighbors across the river too that we wouldn't be capturing that as well, so.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, please continue.
Just very briefly, just a couple things to point out. I do want to make mention on looking at the payments to agencies, number 7, the humility homes, that we are not recommending funding for the 2026 year. And the same is for the Quad City Open Network, there's zero funding because we're doing a lot of it now in-house with this new Moline urgent rental assistance is part of it with the in-staff.
Okay.
And
Go ahead, Ms. Castro.
I have a question on for the humility homes. Wasn't those dollars used to fund the position, the outreach worker? So we're not going to fund that outreach worker anymore, or it's coming from somewhere else, or?
I don't know the answer.
Mr. Vitas, you should answer that.
Yep.
Sure. We were funding a position at about $46,000 or $47,000, if I recall. That position was, the person in the position was actually relieved of their responsibilities, as I understand. We were never, ever advised that it had taken place. Months passed, and then eventually we found out about it, and more time passed, and then eventually they did hire somebody to do that for the remainder of the year. We have not been getting the data or the reports whatsoever, even after requesting them verbally and in writing. So I find it difficult as the administrator to continue to fund a program where we receive no data in exchange for the dollars for the personnel that are supposed to work for us. So that's my
but are you-
recommendation on
we
that,
underst-
on humility.
I understand, but we've also discussed the idea of duplication. Didn't KJ
Yes.
just mention outreach is happening by multiple agencies, so
Yes.
maybe to finish off your question, if I'm assuming correctly, there
Yeah.
will be outreach done just by other
Got it.
agencies that are already funded.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. That was gonna be my follow-up question.
Thank you. Sorry,
We're
I'm
trying to-
reading
we're-
minds
I
tonight.
I think it's fair to say we're trying to focus how we're spending our money, a lot more laser focus to it, rather than just like sending out drips and drabs, so that maybe we can have a bigger impact in terms of the work that needs to be done, as opposed to just spreading it thin.
That makes sense.
I think a concentrated effort or program will deliver a better result in the long run.
I agree.
I will say to number 16, the QC Open Network, this is where they were asking for money to help with a caseworker based at the library. I think that is fairly essential for the folks that are drop-in needing services, as well as the case management that they were gonna provide. I think that's a partnership that should be explored if you're gonna explore opportunities with the White House or the Uplift Shelter. I just urge the council to go back to that presentation and understand how they could be a partner. And then number crunch. Right?
Correct.
Thank you. Please keep going. Yes, oh yes, sorry.
On the QC Open Network, so I understand a chunk of that funding is related to that social worker piece.
Correct.
Are we backing away from the QC Open Network as a partner, or just from that piece?
Well, we've never been a partner with them. The question is should we become a partner with them? And should we spread the outreach efforts that we're doing, or should we refocus them? So it's something to think about as we go toward October. There are those who are in favor of a library location, and there are those who absolutely abhor that location for an outreach person. And that then speaks to the whole issue of the White House, what to do with it, right? As I said earlier in that discussion, we could use that for people for outreach purposes. So it's up in the air. I think it's fair to say it's up in the air. Our housing task force has been working, as you can see, diligently to try and wrap our arms around this whole body of work, which is in a lot of respects non-traditional, but we've become and made it traditional as a part of Moline. So we don't want to just waste the dollars, the limited dollars we have. We're trying to spread them as best we can.
Mr. Macias?
Thank you. And as I recall, in their presentation, wasn't it supposed to be a shared person that East Moline or other cities could?
They were going to share that person with East Moline, but East Moline did not have dollars in the game, to my knowledge.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, please continue.
Yes, thank you. David, would you mind jumping ahead to number 73? Thank you.
Is
Page
this
number
still in the
73?
packet? What page?
Yes,
Which page
it's
is this, Carol?
Page number 73 PDF.
73? Two.
Yes. It's our cannabis fund.
My glasses.
There we go.
Cannabis.
And I'm going to jump one page back just to start us off on the fund balance. As we talked earlier, if you take a look along the intergovernmental revenue line, you'll see annually we anticipate to be receiving about $680,000 every year. That's been very consistent month to month. And now if we go kind of where the money is spent, broken out, this fund includes those two new amounts that we talked about here earlier, to Moline urgent rental and utility assistance for 2025. You'll see $150,000, and you'll see the Level Up program. We had originally budgeted $265,000, and we've added $50,000 to it for the 315. And then we have our annual transfer out to the special CIP fund for $215,000. So the current year is $680, and then we are looking for consideration from council $680 going forward. As we look at those dollars, I'm going to jump back to this fund equity page here, and you'll see the fund balance along the bottom row. If you've got your laptops up, you can see it better. But our ending balance is right now, we are projecting just shy of $200,000 annually that we are not spending. Again, kind of answering your question, depending on what happens with cannabis, it's nice to have a little bit of funding in there. But then at the same time, just to know that there is $200,000 there if the council chooses to allocate that for a program. So.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Schmidt.
And I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to ask to be sure. We, at this point, have no outstanding loans or past commitments or things. I mean, with the Moline 150, we had put some cannabis money against that, but that's all done and gone.
Yeah.
And in the past, right? We're just up to these programs.
That's correct, yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. What's next?
You might want to mention the seed capital,
Oh, yes.
please.
I'm so sorry. Highlighted on that page, I bolded it in red. Bob and I talked, the budget that we're going to be presenting to you in October is balanced in the general fund. This fund, when we originally started it up, we had to jumpstart it with just shy of $200,000. And Bob and I are asking for your consideration to consider it to be seed money, so that going forward, we continue to have that $200,000 balance and/or the funds here to use elsewhere.
Rather than repay it to the general.
Yeah, to pay it back.
I appreciate that. That happened because we discovered that our cannabis stuff hadn't been put to the state.
Correct.
And you all came through to fund Level Up regardless of that. So I appreciate that. And I think whatever's easiest for you makes sense. Yes, Mr. Timian?
I like that primarily because of the unpredictability of cannabis. Again, if it's legalized in Iowa, we might lose half of our revenue. And so this would be a buffer to get us through the fiscal year until we could decide without pulling from the general fund. So I think that that's probably a good cushion to just keep around.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thanks for reminding me to mention that, Bob.
We're a team.
What's next?
The next item is our public art program. Again, we have talked about this before, and I might let Chris give a little heads up, but as he's going up to the podium, if we look at the fund balance that's in front of you, and you take a look kind of right there in the middle, the program between 2025 through 2028 is funding a total of $555,800 in projects.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot to say about this other than just to remind you that we are working on the Leading Light project. We saw the first illustrations from all three of the artists that are competing for that. And just remember that that $400,000 is where a lot of the art money is going to go. We're getting $200,000 from MetroLink, $200,000 from this, from the Public Art Fund. And so I really want the commission to get through that project first, because then we'll know kind of how much money's left. There's not much money left this year for another project. Just understand that, and that's the main lift for that commission this year. So thank you.
Questions? Mr. Schmidt?
I do appreciate how we've continued to work within that art fund, and that it will be, you do some small things every year, and then every few years be able to afford doing some big thing. I think that's probably a sustainable model for going forward. But isn't it the case that what's in our policy and ordinance of funding and funding procedures is just simply disconnected from what we're actually doing, right?
I guess the two things that have come up is, one, there's been a lot of federal funding in projects, right, which doesn't relate back to the Art Commission. And number two, what was your question again? I'm sorry.
Well, I guess
more
plainly, we have never followed all the rules about the money we were supposed to collect for that art
Yes,
fund.
so the other thing that we found is a loophole, for example, with Jim Thompson's project, where it was mixed use. He only had to contribute on the commercial portion of the project. That's what I wanted to tell you. So I think that we probably could tweak that ordinance a little bit too, to generate, if that's what you're getting at.
That's what, I think what we've got in the fund and that process and getting together, trying to build that has worked, but I do think there's, like I said, what was originally presented and even approved back on like our third council meeting for half of us ever was, I don't like that that's disconnected. I think we should clean that up just to, it gives a little more stability and predictability to the art committee, our commission, pardon me, as well as kind of giving us better guidance, because if we went back to ordinance, we'd say, wait a minute, we're not doing that at all.
We do a code cleanup every year, so we'll add that one as a consideration.
Mr. Timmy?
Personally, I would like to remove the 2% fee entirely for the Arts Commission, because I think it is an added tax when we're trying to bring development downtown. It is an extra fee that might discourage people from developing. I want to keep funding the Art Commission, but I feel more comfortable doing that from the general fund as opposed to adding more hurdles for development. And that's me personally. I don't know if anyone else agrees or not.
Thank you.
All right, what's next?
And highlighted there on that fund equity are the 2 points I just want to make mention of, and then we can land on it in October. But as this fund is proposed, we do have an annual transfer from the general fund, and it is actually coming out of, for consideration, the council's contingency. As you know, you currently have $400,000. It would reduce it down to $325 every year. So something to think about between now and October.
Thank you.
And on the next page there, it's just a list of the projects that Chris was talking about for your review. The next item here, and we'll make this one be kind of quick, it's the path forward that we talked about on an earlier agenda. I am going to skip over here. This is just in the beginning processes, but KJ and Chief Galt have worked hard on this. We currently have potentially 3 settlements with the approval tonight of the third. And you can see if you look down on the very first settlement, we anticipate to get $174,000 over a period of years through 2037. But it's a good chunk of money for that program, and it will be going onward for several years. The settlement number 2 and the number 3 in front of you tonight, we have not yet received what those settlements amounts, what the amounts are. So when we do, we will update this spreadsheet. We're going to keep track of it. KJ and Chief Galt, that's what will kind of guide that program going forward with what dollars are available annually. Any questions on that? The next one then is our special events fund. I'm going to jump to the detail here. Over the last couple of years, we have funded the special events with $60,000 as we head into, and we are recommending that as well for 2026 is for $60,000. As we jump into 27 and 28, we are suggesting consideration for $75,000. There has been a need for some events. We don't have them identified at this time, but that way there's some money that is available if some asks come forward. But the biggest thing we want to talk about is in 2026. So in addition to you get the standard $60,000, and you can see all those events all the way down, they've been kind of the same over the last 2 years there, is $100,000 of funding for the America 250 celebration that's coming up. And again, for your consideration, it would be just a one-time drawdown, would be taking that from the council contingency as well. So for 2026, we had just talked about possibly that's $325, would then be reduced to $225. But in the past, we haven't used those funds. We still have fund balance as well in the general fund. We can always amend the budget if something special comes up. But as a placeholder, we would ask consideration for that $100,000 to come out of the council contingency.
Yes, Mr. Schmidt?
You're saying taking it out of the 2025 contingency, what's left, or reducing the amount of council contingency in 2026?
For 26, but I'm happy to do it with whatever, I guess I'd like to approve it as being 26. If there's excess funds available from 25, we can certainly carry that over and up your contingency in an amendment.
Can you remind me the total of the council contingency?
It's 400,000 annually.
I'm very concerned about from day one cutting back 25% of the contingency. I understand that we generally end the year with at least half of that left. We've not, because when we have added projects, we've typically found other funding sources and moved things around. I think that I would rather we hold that contingency and then at the end of the year say, fund a couple more of these little priorities for the next year and then dump the rest in the special projects fund, which is how we've kind of been doing that the last few years, saying that'll help build the future. I'm really concerned about cutting 25% of our funding off from day one.
That's a very good point, and I might throw this out as well for you all to think about. Later on the agenda, I want to just bring up the fact that we still have not allocated the $575,000 from last year. So we could take $100,000 out of that as well. But we are wanting, tonight I was wanting, if you know where you might want to have that as a placeholder, I was going to include it in the budget. So if you have ideas on that,
That sounds like some of the one-time costs.
Yes,
for
one-time.
any of the homelessness or housing, solutions. That to me sounds like a place the council might want to consider using some of that money. I mean, because we could take, right? I mean, we're funding the new thing out of cannabis, and that's fine. But when we still have other programs that need to be funded, or say QC Open Network. Case management is extremely important by qualified social workers, so.
If I could just jump in too.
Yeah.
One of the other things for the America 250 celebration is that there will be some outreach to previous donors for the Moline 150 who made it clear when they did donate that money that is part of what they do. And they would probably stand up and fulfill that 100,000. And we could get there without touching your contingency or the 575, but no promises until we ask. And that's what the committee would be working on as well. So if you were around for the 1976 celebrations, we even in Illinois had license plates that were printed that said 1776, 1976. And I'm happy to bring one to show you what it looks like without placing it on my car because I don't think it's legal anymore.
Thank you. Please continue. Oh, sorry, did you have a question?
We don't really need any formal action on this, but I like the idea of using the 500 plus excess for this and the social worker. I don't like funding salaries with one, I like recurring, but this isn't a salary. This is a partnership, so it's a little bit different.
Well, it depends on how their wording comes back with
Right. Salaries shouldn't be windfalls. They should be recurring revenue sources. But this being an external partnership with QCon, QC Open Network, it could be a really good use of it. And of course, then the rest, just pay down our debt. The fire station, extra principal.
Okay, we got to continue.
We will circle back on these in October. The next one is our rental housing program, and I'm going to let Chris kind of give an update on the program. Just so you know, the goal of this program was to break even, that the fees we charge pays for the program, and we have revisited this several times around already preparing the budget, and it does break even with no fee increase through 2028.
Yeah, so just a couple things to point out on this. The revenue is always going up because we're always finding more property or else we're getting more folks into court. So we're already, you're looking at 245,000 in revenue. We're at 249 now as of this week. Same thing with licenses. I think we've gone up about 15 more licenses from this. So we're going to continue to get people into court. This number is going to keep going up. And roughly what we found out there is about 73% A properties, about 25% B properties, and then 2% being that worst of the C properties. So they're doing a great job. just keep in mind, there is an opportunity for them to be doing general fund activities as well, right? So as we think about how we can strategize this, we can have them looking at other zoning violations or things as well, so.
Thank you. All right, next. Oh, Mr. Schmidt.
So it's like when they're on site, if they notice something that falls outside the purview of the rental housing piece, or
Right, I think we would want to stress it, but if we really wanted them to focus on RVs or grass cutting or these, we focused on grass cutting, but the other things, we could have them looking for those things as they're out there. I'm just pointing that opportunity out.
Yard maintenance is something I get a lot of complaints about, and then they have to go through Brad and all of that. But if it's related to rental housing, I'm seeing shaking heads. Yeah, that's an area that might be okay to expand to. Yes.
Yeah, I think the inspectors should be an extension of code enforcement, not, I think yard maintenance can take down a whole neighborhood. One bad yard can just really mess up. So like, that's a great, and it's a quality of life problem for the residents. So I think that's an appropriate action. I don't know if I want them measuring the whole lot coverage and determining that they are out of violation by a percentage or two.
Right.
But things like that really hurt, I think, or even safety concerns with support beams and whatnot. But yeah, that's alignment.
Or maybe like the steps or something that looks unsafe, right? Because they do visual inspections, right?
Right, I think that's something that would get flagged on their.
Oh, so those things are already happening?
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, these would be like zoning type violations that usually the CED, like planning and zoning staff are handling, but where our CED rental inspectors would be looking at that too.
Thank you.
All right.
And I'll ask Chris to just kind of stay put there, if he can kind of give us an update on our land bank.
Yeah, so you probably saw this in the last status and info report, but the land bank board had to make a decision based on the expenses of the land bank. We had to make the decision to pivot away from having a permanent staff person employed by the city of Moline. Mary has resigned her position, so she's no longer with the city of Moline with the land bank. The land bank will be pivoting to a new model, which will look for some kind of 1099 employee just employed by the land bank. And it really needs to be run for this model to work, it really needs to be run on a commission type basis, right? Moving properties. And if it's going to help the city of Moline, it's going to need to be focusing on abandoned houses that my staff maybe can't find, right? Like getting out and really talking to banks and searching for those. So my recommendation as on that board is to try that for a year to see what value that can have. But I can tell you, the land bank as constructed just can't afford that staff person. So we had to make that decision quickly. So what it means for going forward would be a $10,000 commitment from the city of Moline and trying to find 5 properties out there that we can connect the land bank with to not hold, because keep in mind, they don't have enough money to really hold on to something long-term because there's so many costs associated with that. The other strategy would be you find a grant or you find something from the state of Illinois. Other land banks we found out near Chicago did receive funding from the state of Illinois. And that would allow a land bank to hold on to property long-term and really accumulate properties. But there's a lot of costs associated with that.
Thank you.
So what you're seeing here on this sheet is that the land bank after the current year is being closed out, and you'll see no fund balance. The $10,000 that Chris mentioned is part of his CED budget now that you'll be seeing in October.
Okay.
Right. And the next item is, we wanted to give this to you ahead of time so you can be thinking about this between now and October. And I'm actually going to let Bob kind of go through this, but we handed out a separate sheet for you. The one that was in the packet in your council agenda, all those dollars, Leah helped calculate all those. They included the salary plus the benefits, the one in your packet. The separate sheet that's in front of you here shows the base salary for the 3 positions that we are recommending for your consideration to hire.
Okay, with that, let me just kind of run through this for next year. In terms of our strategic plan and our economic development pillar, please recognize that the total effort for economic development rests on Chris Parr's shoulders, mine, and Chris Mathias, and the two of us when available, because we're both torn in many, many different directions. There is a need to provide some support to Mr. Parr's efforts and use his expertise to construct the deals that will actually close the deals, as opposed to being the researcher and doing all of the legwork, the heavy lifting to get there. I know the man is working weekends. I know he's working late hours, and he's working early hours, but he never says anything. But I know this. I hear and I see. So I'm recommending that we hire a full-time person for the next 2 years, minimally, to assist us in doing the lifting necessary for the riverfront redevelopment, as well as other projects, whether it's the mall, whether it's the TIFs. There's a lot going on, as you learned 2 weeks ago. And there's a lot more behind what you already learned that is also going on that's not ready for airtime. So I am strongly encouraging you to authorize this one position that would provide then the support that Mr. Parr needs to stay focused at the higher level as opposed to getting into the weeds all the time. The custodian, I'm not recommending for the city services building at this time. Obviously, that's not, the timing is off. Request is probably valid based on the addition of the building, but timing is off, so I'm not recommending that for next year. Going down the list, and I did not bring my glasses, so I apologize as I focus on this little print from Carol.
The next one is the Traffic Operations Coordinator.
Yes, let me speak to the Traffic Operations Coordinator. This was a request that came in from the Engineering Department from David Dreyer. And as you know, we have nearly 100, I don't think we're falling below 100, even with the construction of the 2 roundabouts and the removal of the signalization there. I believe we're still over 100 signalized intersections. At one time, I believe it was 104. So we might be at 102, maybe 101, if I'm not mistaken. Laura's smiling, I might be right. Yeah. So one of the problems is we have one person, just one person in the entire organization that's doing that work. He is called out constantly. I mean, these signals go down and he has to be in the field working on them. So this would add an additional body to the engineering department so that we would be able to better manage our signals, which are extremely sophisticated now as opposed to the old days, right? Gone are the days that are not, but 2, right? The bulbs, everything is LED and everything is computer controlled. So David made the request. I concur with him. I think that Josh Whiting does great work. No question about keeping our signals operational throughout this city, but I do not believe for 1 minute that it's a one-person job. So that's why I'm in concurrence with that request. Library is not till the subsequent year, just so you know. Mr. Lear is of course acquiring the mobile bookmobile, we'll call it, the mobile van, to reach out to members of the community who are just not capable of going to the library because they have no vehicle, they have no driver's license, they're too old, whatever the case may be. That's what this program was about. The library board supports that, so he's pushing that off for a year so that he can see how it works with his existing staff. So just a heads up on that. The motor equipment operator, we've talked about that before with Eric, and really there's an offsetting cost there, contractual cost disappearing, and this position being made available to do what's necessary in the cemeteries, but work beyond that as well. So it's kind of, we're getting more than just a contract to work in the 2 cemeteries. Seasonal remain the same, and then the reclassifications, you can see the recommendations there. I was not in agreement with making those adjustments at this time. So with that said, that is 3 positions in total, 1 in economic development, 1 in engineering, and then 1 in park maintenance going forward for next year. And you can see the budgeted request is $206,000 for fiscal year 2026. And then it goes up based on contracts.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Okay, please continue.
So these items, we will place it in the budget for October, and we will address it as well on that Saturday work session.
Please
And
feel
then-
free to reach out if you have questions, any more questions about those positions.
And then the next couple slides are just, just a snapshot to show what the total impact is on our total FTEs. And if we do indeed hire these people, because we're also losing one position in the current year, our total FTEs for 2026 would be 424 positions. Any questions on that? And then lastly, just in your packets are the 4 property tax slides that you received at the round table last week. And then you requested some additional information on property taxes. And so what I'd like to do, whenever anybody asks for information, I'm always happy to give them lots of it.
Be careful what they ask for. You might get it.
No, but what I'm wanting to do, we're trying hard, we've got a lot of staff that just loves numbers, is to kind of show the history so that you're able to make a good decision because you feel like you have all the information, to make the decisions we need to on property taxes. And I don't have this up, so we're actually going to go to the hard copies that are in front of you, and I'm just going to very briefly, this is just information, okay? Information so we can have good discussions in October. The first one is showing a 10-year history of our property tax rates, and this includes all of the taxing bodies that are included. When somebody gets their property tax bill, this is how the levies are distributed. And if you look along the bottom line, the total rate from 2016 through to date, 2025, has actually decreased in that first gray column in the blue, decreased 0.7519. So there's been a decrease. Of that amount, the city of Molines made up 35 cents. So we were a big chunk of that. If you follow the percentage, that's a 17% decrease in the city's levy rate over the last 10 years. If we take a look at the schools, they've kept their levy rate much more constant. Theirs also went down. Part of that was with the TIF #1 that closed because some additional values came on board. But their levy rate dropped 3.27%. And then I'm just going to highlight the little footnotes there, and I know you can read them as well. But #1, the city of Moline's levy rate dropped, like we said, to 17.25% over the last 10 years, averaging about 1.725 a year. Over that same period, the aggregate dropped only 7.94, largely due to the school's rate not dropping as much as ours. The second one, the city's levy rate, just more for information, our levy rate is the last column, makes up about 20% of the overall levy. So when people get their tax bill and they talk about taxes going up, well, we are only 20% of that total. The school's rate is just shy of 60%. And then lastly, just to point out, again, it's just information, over the last 3 years, if you look at 2023, 24, and 25, and you look at the yellow line with the city's rate, you can see that we really reduced our rate, 184, 180, 171. Then if you look at the schools, theirs actually went up. So it's just facts I'm just pointing out. Okay, turn the page. Any questions, any questions on that first one? It's just information. The next one, we have talked about how our levy rate is the lowest it's been now for 36 years. And it's just showing the history. And ironically, it's amazing that it just happens to be that 1990 is the 36th year. I'm amazed it wasn't somewhere in between, but it just happens the high and the low. The interesting thing here is the is the green shaded highlights. The EAV actually decreased 4 times over that 36-year period. So that's kind of interesting that it dropped. But anyways, so it's just information. Any questions on that? It's very interesting to look at. Then this is a chart. It's just charting out the data. And you can see how that growth has gone up over the last 36 years. It's our levy rate overlaid in the red line. Again, that's been at the high, it's gone down, it's gone back up, but we are now at the lowest level in 36 years. Then we also have added a trend line, which is that little black dotted line, which is just showing that the levy rate has indeed gone down over that 36-year period. Any questions on that? Then this is the one that kind of tells the tale. And at our roundtable, this was a question that was kind of brought up. And if we go to the I'm going to go to the second to the last column, the green highlighted one. This is for the city of Moline and what our captured growth in property taxes is compared to the growth in the EAV. I'm talking slow because it is hard to kind of wrap your head around this. So if we look at the green column and we look at the highlighted yellow, for instance, you will see that we are saying that the percentage of annual property tax dollars captured versus the growth in the EAV for the current year, we were at 38.55%. And that means, if you look, it's the third column over, the percentage of annual growth in EAV, our EAV actually went up 7.91%. Do you see where I'm at?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now follow it along, a couple more columns over in the yellow, and you'll see the annual growth that we actually took in property taxes, that 3.05%, okay? How you get that 38%, you take the 3.05, divide it into the 7.91, and you're at 38.55%. Now you can look back over the history of those few years. We chose not to do the whole 36. But you can see, Mercy, I can't make sense of why is some of those up, 300 negative and 1,000 up. That's based on EAVs going up and down, levy rates being tweaked. So what we did is to do a 10-year average to see if that would help kind of smooth it out for us. That is the last column. And what that is showing the percentage growth captured in property taxes over the previous 10-year period. Okay? It's just a number, but it's kind of a trend. And so for the last 10 years, based on the 25 numbers, we've been taking about 36.8% of the growth in our property taxes. As you know, we threw out for your consideration of keeping the levy rate the same for 2026. Again, that was just a consideration. So we put that on for an example. So you'll see at the green line at the bottom there, you'll see 100%. We are recommending, go back to those two columns we talked about. We have 5.92% growth. We were recommending possibly taking 5.92% growth in taxes, okay? That would still leave us in the last column at 39.7% average for the 10 years. So, I mean, we've still got, it's a nice conservative number in my mind to say, you know, we're not taking 100%. So, again, just information because you had asked for it. If we turn the page, again, it's the same column, same calculation. This is just an example, but this is the Moline School District. And you can see on their yellow line that over the last 10 years, on the average on 2025, they are taking 88% of the growth. And we did contact them, we reached out, and they believe is the word, they are proposing like we are to take all of the growth again for 26. That has not been decided by their board by any means, but they're projecting that. So they'd still remain in that 88, 89% range. If you look at the green column, you can also see what they've done just in the last 3 years. They took 106%, 101%, and 100% recommended amount. And so again, it's information that if that kind of helps at all as far as reasonableness when we talk about taking a look at our levy. So I believe the city has been conservative, and we certainly want to continue to be conservative in our property taxes.
Yeah, I think we have been fiscally responsible is the word I'd like to lay out there. I don't think that we have taken more than we need. In fact, we've taken less sometimes, I think, than we needed. You know, and that was the reason for the recommendation this time. I think it was $156,000 or $159,000. You know, those percentages that Carol just reviewed, that's what it equates to. So it's not as if though we're taking, you know, significant amount of money from across all of the taxable properties and all the taxable real estate in the city. I mean, most people wouldn't even notice it in terms of an impact on the city. So that's why the recommendation came in at a flat, keep it 100% this year, because we've been bringing it down literally every year. And the graph on the next page, this one, kind of gives you a good idea of where we're at, what we've been doing, and at some point, you know, the more growth we have, you know, the lower we can bring that levy, because growth reduces the levy. Absent the growth, the levy's in trouble, and it has to go the other direction. And that's what happened here. When you look at this chart, there was a problem back then. And that's what they did, is they had to increase it in order to fill that gap back in, was it 2020? So our recommendation is after 4 consecutive years of lowering it, just to keep it flat, let it plateau this year, and then revisit it again next year. You know, if Chris Parr is doing a great job out there selling real estate for the city and development and growth, you know, we'll be able to go the opposite direction again.
More
We'll
on his
continue.
shoulders, why don't you?
Well, I like the guy. I just, I can see him behind Dawn, and I like her too. So, it's a good team, and they have to work harder.
I will point out, right, several years ago, we made Dawn's position available, and look at the money she's brought in, and that has helped the city. I think that recommendation of an assistant econ dev, whatever the rest of the title is another place where you spend money to make money and adds to the team.
And
Anyway.
that's the request.
Do you want to go through all these, or is this for our perusal before?
Yeah, if I could just maybe just speak a couple charts. An interesting one is the very next one is on population. We are currently projected to possibly in a trend that Moline might be losing population. We've all been talking about how it would be so wonderful if the population increases, can increase our revenue. Skip all the property tax, lots of other property tax, we're gonna skip that, but I would like you to take a look at the big charts here. And again, I'm just pointing this out, it's the 3 fold-outs in the back. The first of the 3, look at the yellow highlighted, it helps you. This is as we discussed at the roundtable on September 16th. Is everyone with me on which one? It's the first of the 3 in the back. And we talked about using this for placement in the budget. It is a holding document until we can get direction on where we're going to go with City Hall and the riverfront. We can always amend this budget. But this document that is in front of you, it does show the franchise fee that goes into effect as per the resolution January 1 of 26. And that is one thing that we are wanting direction on. It takes 90 days to implement, for Mid-American to implement that fee. So we were kind of looking at a nod. It's already been passed by a resolution, kind of wanting permission to go ahead and notify Mid-America to implement that resolution.
Mr. Atkins, would just by a head nod, we say go ahead. I mean, it sounds to me more like if we already passed a resolution, that is in effect through 2026.
Yeah, there's nothing for you to take any action on
Right.
tonight, obviously. You've already addressed quite a bit of this previously, and you'll take final action at that later meeting.
So then just thank you. And so then very briefly, we will place this one in the October budget for you. And the big thing is that yellow highlight, this one totals $16.7 million of available unallocated money for City Hall, Riverfront, and for other projects. Council also asked for another couple of scenarios, or at least one. If you look at the next one, again, just for your information, option number 7 shows the franchise fees frozen at 3%. So after this resolution is implemented, January 1, consideration, we just wanted to see what would the impact be if we didn't continue to raise it, which has been in the plan. And we also then limited the growth in the property taxes to the 200,000 annual growth, not putting in that additional 156,000 that Bob was just referring to with the levy. And if you take a look in that big yellow line, that brings the available funding in total for 10 years for the City Hall and the Riverfront. It brings it down to only $6,050,000. And again, that is certainly an option, but it is limiting regarding City Hall and Riverfront together. And then lastly, and I'm going to be done, it's just an option on the franchise fee, just for future consideration, not asking this, but it would be to make it be every other year going forward for the next 2 years. January 1 of 28, skip a year, and then go to January 1 of 30. That option works as well. So at least there's a little bit of a breath in between the 2 years instead of back to back. And Your Honor, that's all I have. So again, we will be seeing each other again in October. We've done lots of hard work between June, July, August, and September. We've adopted the CIP, all the enterprise funds, all of the fees, and so.
Yes, Mr. Timian?
Are those projections for the franchise fees assuming that energy rates are staying constant?
Yes.
Okay, so if energy rates go up, which they will, then that 3% might.
It will change slightly, and we got our most recent, again, that was in the current year without fee increases, because I know they're always kind of kicking it around. But the amounts that are in the one that we're putting in the budget, option number 6, those are updated numbers that we just received from Mid-American. I think it was back the end of July.
I'm just thinking 10 years out is
Yes.
difficult.
No, it will be. That's correct.
Just so that the council is made aware, the Mid-American company has requested of the Illinois Commerce Commission to look at a rate adjustment to their gas and their natural gas and electrical rates, and that is before the Illinois Commerce Commission officially now. So I'm passing that on so that in the event that they are able to increase the rates, then we'll have to revisit this in lieu of that, because we don't want to have an increase by us and then on top of that an increase by them to the rates, and that would not be fair to the residents. So we would want to take a look at that and do a rebalancing at that point, and that would be my recommendation.
Thank you. Anything further? Mr. Schmidt?
Thank you for pulling together all that information, including looking at all the other cities and what our neighbors are doing, what the other taxing bodies for our residents are doing. It really only strengthens my resolve that I won't sign off on a 100% capture. I think because even 100% capture is a guaranteed increase to the rate, because we know that there will be exemptions and appeals and those sorts of things that will play into that. So, I mean, at minimum, we would have to go under below. I also think that that 5% threshold of not going into a truth and taxation hearing, it's not so much that I'm afraid to stand up and say this is what we're doing or where we're going, but I think that threshold exists for a good reason to kind of help us check ourselves. So, I mean, I know that's gonna be an ongoing conversation everyone's gonna be at, but I remain steadfast that 100% capture is not the right way to kind of work within our community, because I think there's just a lot of other pressures. We know the school district, they don't have other levers to pull, right? And so they have to capture more the property tax. And I just think when people complain and say, oh, our property taxes went up, well, we'll have made them go up too, and in rate this year. So this isn't going to be the first year I sign off on putting that up.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll close that out and call our council to order. Pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have an invocation, Ms. Murphy? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Present.
Macias.
Present.
Razak.
Present.
Timian.
Present.
Finch.
Present.
McNeil.
Present.
Castro.
Present.
Schmidt.
Present.
Your Honor, I request the approval of Committee of the Whole and Council meeting minutes of September 9, 2025, and Committee of the Whole special and executive session meeting
Hang on.
minutes.
I'm sorry, I need to ask if there's public comment yet.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Is there a public
Okay.
comment out there? Okay, hearing none, you can continue, please.
Oh, sorry. All right. I'll just start over. So Committee of the Whole and Council meeting minutes of September 9, 2025, and Committee of the Whole special and executive session meeting minutes of September 16, 2025, and consent agenda items 16.1 and 17.1 through 17.3 inclusively.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Schmidt, seconded by Castro. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. That motion carries. Non-consent agenda, second reading ordinances. Item number 19.1, an ordinance amending Chapter 22, offenses miscellaneous of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 22-1105, tobacco products, tobacco accessories, smoking herbs, and alternative nicotine products by increasing the number of Class C head shop licenses in the city of Moline at the request of AAA Retailers LLC, DBA Yam of Davos.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Nay.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Nay.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
6 ayes, 2 nays. That motion carries. Item number 19.2, an ordinance amending Chapter 22, offenses miscellaneous of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 22-1105, tobacco products, tobacco accessories, smoking herbs, and alternative nicotine products by increasing the number of Class B incidental tobacco dealers licenses in the city of Moline at the request of AAA Retailers LLC, DBA Yabba-Dabbas.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Nah.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Nay.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
6 ayes, 2 nays, and that motion carries. Non-consent agenda resolutions. Item number 20.1, a resolution approving a special event that is sponsored by Rouse Consulting Group, Inc. for the RCG 30th Anniversary Block Party event scheduled for Thursday, September 25, 2025, closing certain streets, more particularly described herein, to vehicular traffic, and authorizing the use of public right-of-way in conjunction with said event.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion. Mr. Schmidt.
Your Honor, Rouse Consulting Group is a client of mine, and I am recusing myself.
Thank you. Anything further from the council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. Item number 20.2, a resolution approving the 2026 through 2029 strategic plan goals and objectives.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. Item number 20.3, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a grant agreement between the Illinois Department of Human Services and City of Moline, setting the terms for acceptance of a grant award to the police department for the amount of $8,427 to conduct a retail education and enforcement program with tobacco retailers.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. That motion carries. Item number 20.4, a resolution authorizing the mayor to participate in national opioid litigation and execute any and all necessary opioid settlement participation documents between the city of Moline and the various opioids manufacturers, and authorizing all appropriate city officers, city attorney, and staff to do all things necessary to complete each of the city's responsibilities pursuant to said national opioid litigation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Schmidt. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. That motion carries. Item number 20.5, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a joint funding agreement for federally funded construction for section number 23-00291-00BT, MER Bike Path Phase 2, approving a resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code, appropriating motor fuel tax funds for the city's local match for section number 23-00291-00-BT, MER Bike Path Phase 2, for the amount of $1,111,719.75, and authorizing the mayor to execute a letter of understanding between the Illinois Department of Transportation and the City of Moline dated September 15, 2025, indicating the city's concurrence to the state's maximum financial participation associated within the traffic signal improvements as part of this project for the amount of $640,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. That motion carries. Item number 20.6, a resolution authorizing the mayor, city clerk, and city staff to apply to the Illinois Department of Natural Resources for an open space land acquisition and development grant for the amount of $600,000 to improve ADA accessibility and safety throughout the complex by replacing deteriorated and uneven sidewalks and paths, replace old playground equipment for 2 to 5-year-old age section, provide shade structures, and convert unused sand volleyball courts into multi-use flex sports field at Milton Softball Complex, and authorizing the mayor, city clerk, and city staff to do all things necessary to prepare and submit said grant application.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. That motion carries. Item number 20.7, a resolution approving the use of cannabis funds in the amount of $200,000 to provide one-time, once every 12 months, financial assistance to eligible Moline residents who meet the program criteria, to be dispersed October 1, 2025 through December 31, 2025, authorizing the Community and Economic Development Department staff to do any and all things necessary to continue to administer Moline's urgent rental/utility assistance program in the amount of $150,000, which provides assistance to residents with eviction notices, utility disconnection notices, or urgent lodging needs, and authorizing Project Now Affordable Housing LLC to continue to administer Level B $50,000 one-time grants of variable amounts between $400 to $2,000 for emergency critical assistance.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. That motion carries. Not consent agenda, first reading ordinances. Item number 21.1, an ordinance amending Chapter 23, Parks and Recreation of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Article 2, Operation of Park and Recreational Facilities, Section 23-2102, Rules of Conduct applicable to all parks, by repealing subsection 7 in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new subsection 7 relating to the same subject matter, to allow not-for-profits the sale, possession, and consumption of alcoholic beverages in compliance with Section 4-3309, Class 1 Special Event Not-for-Profit License, through a special use application approved by the Moline Park Board.
Motion to advance the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Schmidt. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. Motion to advance to second reading carries. Item number 21.2, an ordinance amending Chapter 35, Zoning and Land Development of the Moline Code of Ordinances regarding zoning text amendments to Article 3, Zoning, Division 9, Moline Center Districts, Section 35-3909, Review Procedures to allow for more building design flexibility for non-conforming buildings in the Moline Center Districts.
Motion to advance the second reading. Second. Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. Motion to advance to second reading carries. Item number 21.3, an ordinance amending Chapter 15, Garbage and Trash of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 15-2102, Curbside Recycling Carts, by repealing subsection B in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new subsection B dealing with the same subject matter, and amending Section 15-2200, Fee for Residential Refuse Collection, by repealing said section in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 15-2200, dealing with the same subject matter.
Motion to advance the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Schmidt. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. Motion to advance to second reading carries. Item number 21.4, an ordinance amending Chapter 34, Water and Sewers of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 34-2121, Charges and Collections, by repealing said section in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 34-2121, dealing with the same subject matter.
Motion to advance the second reading. Second. Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. Motion to advance to second reading carries. Item number 21.5, an ordinance amending Chapter 34, Water and Sewers of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 34-3200, Sewerage Rate System, by repealing said section in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 34-3200, dealing with the same subject matter.
Motion to advance the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. Motion to advance to second reading carries. Item number 21.6, an ordinance amending Chapter 34, Water and Sewers of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 34-4400 in general, by repealing said section in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 34-4400 dealing with the same subject matter.
Motion to advance the second reading. Second. Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. Motion to advance to second reading carries, and that's all I have this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you. We're at miscellaneous business. Two quick things. I leave bright and early tomorrow for the Hunt Institute. I was a fellow last year. I'm on a panel about public policy and early child care and education, so lots of follow-through. Mr. Parr's been serving on a statewide committee because of that last year. I've got some interesting things coming forward that Ashley will help me share in the coming days. So Finch is pro tem and McNeil, they've been splitting doing things, so thank you very much for that. I do need a person who might be able to go to the Bi-State Commission Transportation Committee meetings for this fall term. I couldn't arrange my teaching schedule appropriately, so just talk to me about that. It's the first Tuesday of every month at 12 noon. So or first or third? What week are we in? It just happened yesterday. I guess
This
it's
is
the
the
third.
third week. Yes.
And that's all I have. Ms. Murphy.
I have
Mr. Macias.
Yes, I actually had the opportunity to attend the Illinois Municipal League Conference, learned a lot about rail safety, and Bob also was there in TIFs and a lot of stuff that the staff does here. But even going around and talking to the vendors, just all the services that are available, learned a lot about the 250 celebration, that there's some resources there for us to, they in particular had a public relations kit that could be utilized, and but also spend some time with other local officials from our neighboring cities, and just getting to know them, and also learning what they're dealing with in their municipality. So overall, it was great. And yeah, I learned a lot, and I came back with a bunch of papers that I'm going to probably give out to some of the staff that they will probably find useful. But some of the stuff, yeah, it was just very educational for myself, and I'm sure Bob came back with a bunch of stuff as well for everybody.
Yes, that you were there.
Yes. So, yeah, that's
Mr.
it.
Razak?
No, thank you, nothing.
Mr. Jimmy?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to thank engineering. 19th Street now has streetlights. And that corridor between 12th Avenue and Avenue of the Cities was pitch black. And so this request went up about a year ago, and they researched it. Sure enough, we need to have streetlights. And it's little things like that that make neighborhoods walkable and safer and make them more utilized. I've personally ridden my bike after council, and it's really difficult to navigate in the dark. And little touches like that make the city feel safer for the people that are not driving constantly. So I just wanted to thank them for that.
Thank you. Ms. Finch? Mr. McNeil?
Just thanks to KJ and staff. Really wonderful volunteer appreciation event at the library on Saturday.
Thank you. Ms. Castro?
I'll follow up. Thank you, Police Chief. The Moline Homecoming Parade I thought was really great. Several of us walked in the parade, a lot of staff, and I think it was a great route and had a really great turnout. So thanks for making that change.
I'm going to be in town all week, but I'm going to actually be celebrating my grandchildren who came to visit from Washington, D.C. It's the first time in 4 years they've made the trip, so I will be available by phone and as necessary in the office, but I'm just down the street. So I have to deal with the munchkins.
Any other staff? Okay, we need a public comment? Nope. Executive session.
Your Honor, I make a motion that the council convene an executive session for the purpose of discussion of collective negotiating matters -5 ILCS 120/2 C2.
Second?
Second.
Second by Timian. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy. Macias. Razak. Timian.
Aye.
Finch. McNeil.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
All right.
All right, thank you very much. We're in closed session.